Imagine standing on the sidelines and never really feeling like you're a part of the group. Imagine what that's got to feel like you're always an outsider or an outlier, watching the rest of the group, longing to be a part of it, but then not really knowing what to do to feel like you're included. We want to know you, not just your information. We want to know you as a person. We want to love you, but you got to open up the doors a little bit and let us in. And you got to Thank you guys for joining me today on this video about Enneagram Type 5s. We're going to be asking the question, are 5s hiding from life? Watching life go by as you're an observer on the sidelines? Maybe you feel fully engaged in life. I hope so. Maybe you're not fully showing up and being present to your life, present to your work, present to your relationships, and you say, why is any of this important? Well, that's the whole point of my channel, is to be present to life. And sometimes 5s can get so wrapped up in what they're interested in and so wrapped up and focused in what they're doing that they don't really have a lot of attention to give away to others. 5 steps that you can take right now as a Type 5 to increase and improve your connections with the world, with the people in your life. So the first thing maybe we want to talk about is, why is it the tendency of the Type 5 to move themselves back onto the sidelines and to be observers? Now, if you don't think you do this, put it in the comments below. Say, Tom, I'm the most connected person in town. 5s often feel more secure in their inner world than they do in their outer world. And you remember, 5s are a fear type, and they're not necessarily going to look like a fear type, but they might have the fear of being overly involved, or the fear of other people putting demands on them, the fear of being obligated to too many other people's agendas or schedules. And when you start putting this pressure on them or invading their space, you're going to see them feeling some anxiety and maybe responding in some awkward ways to push you back and to keep distance between you and them. People are very focused on what they're interested in, and if they're not interested in what you're talking about, it might be hard for a 5 to stay focused on what you're saying. Now, this focus can be a wonderful thing. I mean, we need people like this in our world. We need people like you on our team who will dive deep into information, really study, learn, understand, and know and have the knowledge and have the answers for when the challenging situations arise. Now, I get it, this inner world can be very rich, and you might look at somebody like me, a 7, and think, man, you got it all wrong. Why are you so focused on the external world? Why do you need that so much in your life? I'm very content and very happy with my inner world. And look, I do accept you the way you are, and I do understand that inner world, that world of thought and imagination and fantasy and all that is a fantastic world. I live there sometimes myself as I'm researching and gaining information. It can be thrilling and exciting to grow and explore philosophical ideas or theological ideas, or I understand that. It's just, there's also this outer world that longs for you to participate. Imagine standing on the sidelines and never really feeling like you're a part of the group, never really feeling like those connections are working for you. Imagine what that's got to feel like you're always an outsider or an outlier, watching the rest of the group, longing to be a part of it, but then not really knowing what to do to feel like you're included. Imagine a life where you share your deep insights and people are richer for it, and you make deep connections in this world because of it. Imagine living your life coming out of the shadows and into the light. Type 5s are known for their analytical minds. They're known for their wisdom and their wit, their Ravenclaw way they show up in this world, for being industrious and for gaining knowledge and valuing insight and having insight. But sometimes all of this gathering of information and knowledge and wisdom can sometimes cause the 5 to be a little bit isolated, away from others, away from the village, kind of the hermit on the edge of the village, reading their book on how to slay dragons. And let's face it, we need somebody to slay dragons at times. We need your valuable input in your answers, and your presence matters, and we want your presence in our world. And this focus of attention and this focus of energy and this avarice can keep you at times living on the sidelines and never really engaging with the rest of the world. And keep in mind, knowing and understanding how life works isn't the same as living your life. And if you really want to grow and you really want to understand things, then maybe you should challenge yourself. What is going on? What is going on that sometimes pushes me away from people and causes me to isolate myself? And even if I don't feel like I'm hiding from life or hiding from people, why do other people sometimes feel like I'm hiding from them. Hiding from life means missing out on meaningful relationships and meaningful experiences in life. And it's important for you to understand what's going on inside you that might cause you to retreat from life and to disengage from other people, and then start to begin to think about how that really impacts your life and impacts your future. The first thing that's going on is 5s tend to have a fear of being overwhelmed, or a fear of being overtaken, a fear of other people making demands on you, demanding your attention, demanding you put down whatever you're interested in and focus on them and their interests. And there's something within a 5 that tends to resist that and pushes back and says, look, I'm self-sufficient, I'm self-reliant, I don't need to care about the things you care about. We're two separate people, and I don't want to be overwhelmed by your presence, by your demands, by your requests, by your action. The second thing that's going on, I think, with 5s is 5s like certainty. They have a need for certainty. They have a need for things to make sense, for ideas to come together and to see the relationship between those ideas and to synthesize those things. And so the world around us can be very uncertain. Just ask 6s right next to you. And sometimes relationships don't make sense. Sometimes the interactions that we have at work, the interactions that we have with other people in this outer world can feel very uncertain and very destabilizing. And I think it's within the nature of a 5 to be frustrated with things that destabilize us and feel uncertain. Now, this impulse to move away from people and chaotic situations or chaotic relationships, this might protect you in the short term. I mean, you will feel like you have peace of mind and you have your space and your energy, but in the long term, it could lead to missed opportunities and missed connections with people that could actually sustain and fill you. A lot of interactions with people are in your life in order to fill you and sustain you. And when you shut down those interactions because you're afraid of what those might cost you, you also shut down a great source or a great opportunity. Many people are in your world that want to pour life into you. Sometimes interactions with people can be exhausting. I totally understand that. But not every interaction needs to be that way. There's probably a lot of people in your life right now that want to strengthen you and encourage you. I mean, you would find them as sources of fulfillment and meaning in your life if you could open your life or open the drawbridge of your life down long enough to let them in. And yes, every interaction is going to have some expense or some cost, but many of these interactions with the people in your life you would find as sources of strength and fulfillment. We're not asking you to give up your thirst for knowledge or your thirst for information. We're not asking you to put that on hold. What we're saying is, seek balance in your life. There's a time to study, read, learn, and grow and isolate yourself, but there's also a time when you need to come out of that cave and make those connections with other people. Why would I want to be in a relationship with you if all you do is withdraw and isolate from me? This needs to be a two-way relationship where there's give and take. And every relationship, there will be some giving, but there will also be some receiving. Are you open to that? Are you available for the relationships in your life? This tendency for you to withdraw and isolate can lead to incredible insights. But you need to share those revelations with the world. You say, Tom, I've tried, but people don't want to listen. Tom, I've tried to share my information, but people say, we don't care. Oh my goodness, stop talking about that. Well, remember that part of what's going on here is all of us have to learn to comply. The conversations are give and take. And I can't just be a professor up on stage lecturing a bunch of students. Not everybody wants to relate to me like a student. I got to be willing to listen to other people's information, even if they're not experts in what they're talking about. I listen to them because I love them. I listen to them because I care about them. I listen to them because I want to foster a good relationship with this person. Why? Because I recognize it's not good for me to isolate myself so far away from humanity. I need people in my life. I need relationships in my life. And because I know I need that, I got to do the hard work sometimes of making those relationships possible, and to really be engaged with those people while they're talking to me, not off in my distant world in my head. Sometimes I think about what it must feel like to be a 5 in a group of people or with another person. It's kind of like, I imagine like having the cure for cancer. Like, you know that this herb could cure cancer, and you know all this information about all the statistics of why this herb would help somebody, and then people ask you, do you have any comment? Do you have anything you would like to say? And everything within you is just, I've got all this information, I've got all this truth, and I want to share it with them. And you share this information like you've been looking forward to having this place to be able to share this information. And when you get done with all of the evidence and all of the proof and all of the information, you kind of get this wah, wah response from people like, oh my gosh, here we go again. You're talking about all the... and I can just imagine how discouraging and that deflating that is. And then you think to yourself, why are you telling me I need to reach out to people? I've tried that. I've tried to have these interactions and it just doesn't go well. So why would I keep doing that? They just look at me like uninterested or disinterested, or even are frustrated with me, like they don't want to hear me. One of the ways to make a connection with a 5 is to listen to their information, is to listen and care about what they're saying. Now, sometimes 5s don't always give that back to you, and you got to understand that and be okay with it, at least at first. Is that 5s, they're so focused on what they care about and so focused on the information that they care about, that they seek out, that it can be hard for them sometimes to show interest in what you're saying. Or if they do show interest, it may be as a debater who's challenging what you believe or challenging what you say. But we have to have patience, and 5s, you have to have a lot of patience. And I'm just encouraging you that even if it's gone bad before, you didn't feel like the interaction went well, to not give up on reaching out to people, to not give up on opening yourself up to people. Think, what is the opposite of being open? It would be to be very guarded. We want to know you, not just your information. We want to know you as a person. We want to love you, but you got to open up the doors a little bit and let us in. And you got to come out from your cave, or come out from your basement, or your secret lair, or your laboratory, or whatever it is. You got to come out of that den and put yourself out there where everybody else is. One of the things that I think it's important for me to say is people don't necessarily want a relationship with what you know. They don't necessarily want a relationship with your information. They want a relationship with you. And you say, what are you talking about? Well, imagine if you were going to an event tonight and there's going to be a bunch of people there that you don't know. I'm going to go and I'm going to share all of my facts and information when they start talking to me. Realize that most people don't want to know your facts and information unless they're asking you specifically about it. But they are interested in you as a person. So what would you say if you were just going to share yourself as a person? That may be a different way of thinking than what you're used to. Chances are balance for you would not mean moving yourself more away from people, withdrawing more. Balance for you would be putting yourself out there more to have more interactions and be more available to people. Realize that these relationships and the meaning that it provides for us is worth the effort. Some steps that you can take right now to start to move toward this balance, to practice active listening. Now, there may be a part of you that starts to shut down when other people start to talk about the mundane things of life, their work schedule, their babysitting appointment, the football game they went to. But recognize these things are also important. They may not be foundational philosophical truths to build a society on, but it's important to each person what's going on in their life. And they want it to be important to you as well. And if these people are important, or this connection is important, or these relationships are important, it's going to take you making an effort to listen to and pay attention to people's stories, to listen to and pay attention to what's going on in their life, and to be an active listener. You can't just think, well, I don't care about this, I'm not interested in this, so I'm not going to pay attention to it. That's not going to work in sustaining a relationship. This may require you to maintain eye contact, to nod your head in agreement, and ask follow-up questions that are appropriate to their story. This practice of active listening indicates to the other person that they are important to you and their story matters. It's essential for building deep connections with other people. The second step you can take is taking something you already have and sharing that with other people. You have an amazing amount of information and insight that you've gained. Sometimes with 5s, you kind of get an all or nothing response. Either they think this person isn't worth my time, or they don't really know the information, so what's the point of me even talking to them? Or they're going to download all of their content at once, hoping the other person listens and pays attention to what they're saying. Just realize both extremes may be too much for a relationship. You don't need to prove that you're smarter than anybody else. You don't need to prove that you're informed. You're not trying to win a committee's approval. You're trying to make a friend. The next thing that is so crucial and so important in a relationship is that you engage with empathy. It's allowing yourself to feel feelings for the other person. And let's face it, there's a part of you that probably doesn't naturally want to empathize with people. You may come across as very cold and distant, thinking, I don't really care about what they're telling me. To build a relationship, often there needs to be this warmth. And this warmth is what we call empathy. Sometimes the way you might need to show up in a relationship, at least early on, is not really dismantling people's belief systems, but trying to understand people as they are. It's important not only to challenge people, but also to try to gain a sense of understanding of who they are, what they're feeling, and then to reflect that back with warmth and kindness. These things, warmth and kindness, are essential to friendships and essential to keep relationships strong and healthy. And now this is where it really starts to get challenging, is you've got to make a decision that you're going to be an active participant, at least in some way, of social settings. You got to put yourself out there and say, look, I need to work on this. I need more balance in my life. I need a community in my life. I need people around me to support me, and I need to be there to support them. So I'm not saying start huge. I'm saying start small. Find a couple of people that you have like-minded interests with and put yourself out there. At least invite them to do something you enjoy doing. It could be something as simple as playing video games. Instead of doing that by yourself, or instead of playing your games online, to bring another person into your life and actually share some space with people, actually maybe eat with them, talk with them, laugh with them, watch a movie together, and you'll be putting yourself well on the road for building friendships and connections by just taking a simple task like that and making it a goal and challenging yourself to fully engage with the people around you. Let them know something about you. Listen to them and try to learn something about them. Make people the object of your study. Setting and achieving these small social goals and putting yourself out there and making these connections can really boost your confidence and make social interactions more manageable and more agreeable for you. By seeking balance in your life and taking these steps, you will begin the process of growing and improving these connections with others, enhancing your own life and your professional connections. And I know it can make you feel a little bit uncomfortable putting yourself out there or thinking about putting yourself out there. But remember, it was Aristotle who said, in order to avoid criticism, say nothing, do nothing, be nothing. And that's not the goal for your life, to say nothing, do nothing, be nothing. You know, real life is not only gaining information and knowledge. Real life is not only being self-reliant and self-sufficient, all wonderful things, but it's also engaging with life in a larger degree, engaging with individuals, engaging with people, engaging in community. And I so much want that for you and for your life. Stepping out of your comfort zone can be scary. It can feel a little overwhelming at times, but it's incredibly rewarding. It's about finding balance between introspection and interaction, something that can be a real challenge for type 5s. I'm so glad you made it to this point in the video. I'm here to help you in any way I can. Please reach out to me. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And as you're seeking this balance in your life, put your comments in the comment section below about how you're putting yourself out there in order to make these deeper connections a meaningful part of your life. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, be present to life. I'll see you next time.